Good morning, Busters. Happy Friday. If it's Friday where you're at, it's Friday where we're at. Sun's a little bit gloomy. We got another storm coming in. Yesterday it had me feeling spring fever. Don't know about you, but I already got it going, and unfortunately, winter's coming back around. So hope everyone's having a great finish to their work week. But wanted to hop on here for those that saw my post yesterday. Just basically, raise your hand if you have kids. We have two daughters of our own, and they're the best blessing in the world. So if you do have children out there, congratulations. They're a blessing. But wanted to hop on here, you guys, and gonna just share my viewpoint and share some of the things that I've seen over the years of coaching, and kind of help maybe open some different pathways of thinking when it comes to your own essence of kind of your relationships and your viewpoint regarding yourself and the things that you're trying to aspire towards moving towards. When obviously, if I know for so many of you guys that have hopped onto this group, that obviously you're wanting some sort of change, right? Like if you didn't want change, I would imagine you wouldn't have found this group, right? Like there's a reason why you're in this group, because you want some sort of change that you've been longing for, or some sort of information or something. Now, what I've seen over the years, and the reason why I want to ask and talk specifically to the parents out there, is because for years as a coach, my specialty is in strength and conditioning, sports performance, that type of environment. And so for years, I've had parents bring in their kids. I got kids that come in almost every day that come in, and we have their parents come in and kind of meet us at the door of the side of like, hey, I want you to work with little Joey or Mary Jane or whoever that may be on their nutrition and their training. And oftentimes what we do is we can absolutely do that. But first, I want to know what you are doing from a coach to looking at your own internal daily habits, right? Like as a parent, what are you doing? What does your lifestyle and what do your daily actions, rituals, and habits look like when it comes to essentially the nutritional makeup? All right, now we'll focus on that right now, because oftentimes we have is, okay, I want you to do this. Little Joey here, he has all the aspirations for wanting to accomplish the world, which is great. Same thing, for Mary Sue. She has the same thing. She wants to, earn a scholarship. She wants to go to college. She just wants to have, a good outlook on her life, whatever that may be. But if the parent, do not have a good relationship or good standing of fundamental patterns and good essential nourishment. I'm not talking about you have to be a dietitian, you have to be all these kind of things, but essentially if your habits and your rituals and essentially your relationship with food is not in a good place, you're gonna pass that to your kids, right? Like I mean, there's one thing that I've seen to be true with my own kids is, especially our oldest, she's going through a phase right now where she, may act like she's not paying attention, but she's always watching, right? I'm a big believer in my favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes of all times is, what you do speaks so loud, I can't hear what comes out of your mouth. Right? Like actions speak louder than words, right? Like, so if I bring my daughter to a training facility, or I bring her to whatever, and I want her to essentially have these aspirations, and I'm trying to do everything that I can for her to do. But on the back end, what she sees me doing is conflicting with that, right? Like if I'm trying to help her evolve by eating, getting fruits and vegetables in her system, making sure that she drinks water, making sure that she doesn't live on pop and soda and all the other stuff, but I'm doing that, I'm a hypocrite. Right? And I'm not here for judgment. I'm not here for those things. But at the same time frame is one of my core values is essentially leading from the front and leading by example, is trying not to do things that or trying to suggest things and try to ask people that work for us, that I work with and coach and everything else, that I wouldn't do myself. Right, is I want to be able to set the precedent and set the example for myself, and understanding that my way isn't the only way of doing something, but at the same time frame is if I'm trying to promote these habits as a parent and set as a good example, I can't be having these habits built in that conflict with that. And so oftentimes it's from our sense on this, you guys, is it's when we start to work with a family and we start to work with kids and we start to work on these things, it has to come from the head of the household. Because yes, they may think and may hold my words at a high value. But at the same time frame, the person that they hold value from the most is usually from a parental standpoint, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had conversation with kids of like, just simply, let's try to move away from eating at McDonald's. Yeah, but my dad and I go to McDonald's, right? Like that's where we experience connection. That's where we experience like the only time and the only conversations we have together is when we're in the drive-through line. And they're gonna take my word to tell them to stop eating McDonald's? No. Right? But if you can start to understand and evolve for yourself and start to, set a good precedent of good nourishment patterns, of good habits, of good things, they get to see you, not by you speaking at them, but at the same time frame, they get to see you doing the actions behind that. And so it's not just, yet again, following a dietary plan, all right? I think that's the other portion that's really important on this, you guys, is understanding of, I'm not preaching on the sense of like, you got to go and follow a diet, all right? Because that's the other thing I want to kind of help you open our eyes to a little bit is, I've had the conversation with probably a dozen people this week that have had success, right? They've had success of losing 60, 80, 100. One of them was even almost 130 pounds. And they're scared, right? They're so like they've experienced that change, but they're afraid now to move on to the next phase of their life, of feeling like they can't move on from what they were doing because they're afraid they're going to go back to doing the same thing they were doing before. And I'm sorry, but even though you've had success, that's still not a healthy relationship with food. That's still not a healthy relationship of understanding how to do these things. I don't care if you're following macros. I don't care if you're following Atkins. I don't care if you're following Weight Watchers. I don't care what plan you're following. If you are still having to follow this plan and you're having to hold yourself to doing it as 60, 80, 90, whatever time frame of your life, and you can't go into and evolve and just understand like, okay, well, what if that's no longer available? What if all these things? Well, I don't trust myself, right? Because really that's what we fall in oftentimes, you guys, is when we're trying to marry yourself to this one specific plan because it's the only thing that you've seen success with, we also need to build in trust. Because ultimately, you guys, from my experience, is ultimately we don't necessarily trust that if I'm not attached to this plan, I'm not going to be able to be successful. And we want to be able to help evolve and show you that under any circumstances of your life, and this is why you get to show this to your kids, is under any circumstances of life, whether you get a job promotion or they move away to college or they get they move across the country or whatever that may be. You get to help show them and get to help show and show them that it doesn't matter what the circumstances of life, because if you can create a good understanding, and yet again, I'm not saying that you have to understand from a dietitian standpoint, but if you can understand like just the basics of good nourishment, of like the principles that have been shown time and time again from our own experience and what the literature shows to be basically the most beneficial for long-term success, you will be able to open up pathways and doorways for the rest of your life without feeling like you need to count calories endlessly, having to measure your macros every single day and carry a scale with you. You need to, count points or whatever the other systems are out there. Now, don't get me wrong. When you do go through the 8-week shift, yes, we do couple that up with certain nutritional practices, and that's based off of what you feel is right for you. But at the end of the day, is we want to help create long-term sustainable success as we go through this, but it has to start with you, right? Because as being a parent, what I want to do, I'm a big believer, as what we try to do is for parents, is we want our kids' experience to be better than our own. Right? And I want you to really take an honest look and have an honest conversation with yourself is, what is your relationship with food? What roles does food play in your life? Right? Like, do you have maybe not so pleasant relationship with food? Maybe you're following something, but Food consumes 80 to 90% of your thoughtful energy all day long. That's not a good relationship with it. Can you go to a party and feel like you can't devour everything in sight? Can you go and be in a social atmosphere without feeling nervous that you might make an unideal decision? That's not a healthy relationship with food. Can you live life joyfully? Can you incorporate food to allow you to experience the things that we all should be able to experience, right? Because if you don't have those things, yet again, you're going to pass those things on to your kids, right? I just looked up a study that showed that over 19% of our population of youth from 2 to 19 years old are considered obese. And that's only going to go up in the next 8 years, on a statistical realm. That's only going to increase and possibly double that predicted number. To me, that's absurd, but that has to start with us. That has to start with you, the head of the household. And I'm here to tell you, you can create that change. You can create that ripple effect, and you can create that process so your kids don't have to have this relationship with food. They don't have to have this relationship with other elements of their life. Because in addition to what we do with the shift is also help you understand not just what your relationship with food and the roles it plays in your life, but what do things play in your life in general. What is required for you to meet your needs of certainty, happiness, significance, love, connection, growth, and contribution? Because I promise if you can identify those things for you, your relationships with your kids, your significant other, your coworkers is also going to improve. What takes for you what's your love language? What's all those things? We tackle all of that in 8 weeks. And if you can have a much better understanding for yourself, you will have a much better understanding for your kids. And one thing that I experienced for myself that I did for a long, long time, especially being a guy, you stifle, you put it away. You have these emotions, you have these thoughts, you have these feelings. You stifle, you move them away, put them away, put them away. Well, sooner or later, those things start to become a problem because that's nothing but energy. And what I found to be true for myself is if I don't have compassion for myself and I don't have understanding for myself, what's the likelihood that I'm going to have compassion and understanding for other people? If I can't do that for myself, I'm surely not going to do that for other people. And so that's the other elements that we want to be able to incorporate, not just on an essence of a dietary, good, sound nourishment practice that under any phase of your life, you can meet and move yourself towards your goals from a place of inspired and intentional action, not coming from a place of fear and restriction, but more importantly, from a place of understanding and appreciation for yourself. Because if we can live into that, I promise you, your relationship with your kids and the relationships around you will only improve, and you get to lead by example. So I want to yet again invite you guys into the 8-week shift that's starting this new group next week. All right. Perhaps it's not just you that's going through this. All right. Perhaps this is you and your family and your kids, and this is your whole environment that gets to go through this process with you. Because one thing I know to be true is in order for things to change, you have to change. In order for things to grow, you have to grow, right? It doesn't just happen. We have to evolve, we have to change, we have to come from a different understanding. And we can do this in 8 weeks. And we want to invite you to be a part of this because at the end of the day, it's that ripple effect. 19% of the population right now, 2 to 19 years old, is considered obese. And that's only going to be predicted set to possibly double up from there. We can make an impact not only with your own goals that you have, but also for the kids and the generations to come. So that's my thought for today, you guys. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Yet again, if you have kids, you guys are the best blessing in the world. But happy Friday, you guys. Take care. If you want more information, let us know. We can hop on essentially a one-on-one with you. We can get all the information to you guys. So the 8 weeks starts next week. I promise you the goals in which you want and the things in which you don't even know you want are just 8 short weeks away. So hope you guys are having a great day. Take care. Talk to y'all later.